Hi, I'm Rachel Donegan. I am the Howe Library's Emerging Technologies Librarian, and I am here to show you how to make something every week. This is Howe Makers. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Howe Makers. Today we're going to be looking at the Silhouette Cameo, which is a digital cutting machine which can cut paper, vinyl, and a bunch of other materials. And we are going to make this sweet little mushroom right here on the digital cutting machine. Here we are on the floor of my kitchen with the Silhouette Cameo 2. This is my machine here, hooked up to my laptop. And we have a nicer version of this machine, a newer version, the Cameo 3 in Studio H at the library. So what this machine does is it cuts out different materials very, very precisely. So I have a few shapes right here that I've cut out on the machine. You can see this flower shape. It would be very hard to cut this shape by hand. So having the computer do it for us is really nice. Here's another shape here. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is load our material onto our mat. So this is a brand new Silhouette mat. And we have these at the library, so you don't have to have your own. But I'm gonna pull off this protective coating here, and it's sticky on this side. And so we're gonna stick our media to it. So I'm gonna take my paper. This is a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper, which is how big my mat is. So this is the largest piece of paper that I can cut. I'm gonna line it up on the mat, stick it on. And it's a little bit off, but that's okay because I'm only gonna be cutting a small shape up in the corner. And now I'm gonna load it into the machine. So I'm gonna line up the edge of the mat with the edge of my rollers right there, and I'm going to hit enter. It says load cutting mat, and so I can just hit enter. And now it's ready to go. Okay, so here is our computer screen, and we're set up with our mushroom right here. So the part I'm gonna cut is this mushroom shaped piece here. I'm gonna cut out of the yellow paper. So to do that, means I have to take all these other shapes and just move them off the mat because I don't want to cut those yet. I'm going to cut those out of a different color. I'm going to put this little mushroom shape right up in the corner. And this is actually set up for 8.5 by 11. You can see the size of the mat right here is 12 by 12, and it's defaults to this 8.5 by 11, but it doesn't matter for our purposes that the paper is actually bigger than how I've set it up. It's totally fine. So I'm going to come over here and go to send, and that just sent the design to the Silhouette. Okay, so I've loaded the material again, and I've set the blade for a depth of 5, and I've increased the force to 25 because I think my blade is a little bit old, and I've also put it on 2 passes. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting through this particular material because it is so thick. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, so the machine just finished cutting, and we're going to pull this off. And that is what we should get, which is a perfectly cut out shape, exactly the way we wanted it. Okay, so now that we've got the orange piece cut out, we're going to cut out another part of the mushroom onto this purple paper here. So I'm going to load it into the machine. Okay, so now I'm just pulling this shape off. I'm using a spatula to get underneath. I'm going to use this tool to poke out some of the holes that didn't come off there. And so you can see that is our finished shape that will be the cap of our mushroom. And you can see that it would be really, really hard to cut that shape out by hand. So it's really nice to have a computer that can do it for us. Now we have all of our shapes cut out and we're ready to put them together. So I have a little glue stick right here. I'm going to put this one on first, just a little bit. And there we go. There is our little cutout mushroom. And what's great about the Silhouette cutter is once we have a shape that we like, we can cut out lots of them. And so a project can go really quickly. Once you have all the settings dialed in, you can cut out a lot of the same pieces all at once and then assemble them all together. Thanks so much for joining me this week for Howe Makers. I hope that once the library is open again, you will come down to Studio H and visit me and check out the Silhouette Cameo 3 for yourself and make a project. See you next time.